Hi, this is an explanation for week 1. You're now in the learning modules folder and you're looking at the week 1 folder. This week you're going to view 2 videos. Here is the course explanation video, which is the longest video you'll probably listen to this entire term. Following that will be the video here that you will see, which is the video for this week that you're now viewing. What I would like you to do this week is to introduce yourself in the introductions Padlet. You could click on this link here. You're going to post a photo or a video and share a children's book from your childhood and include an image of the book. You're going to read at least 2 of your colleagues' postings and you're going to comment on them. Try to comment on people who don't have a comment already, and that's how we're going to get to know each other. I have done mine. I have a picture of myself and my husband at Niagara Falls. I think we're at Niagara Falls. And I have one of my favorite children's books. It was the very first book I think I ever owned of my own. Then using the information from chapter 1 of our textbook, and I've included a copy of the chapter 1 because I can do that through copyright laws. This is the 8th edition. You're using either the 8th or 9th. If you listen to my video prior explaining the course, you will see that you can choose which one. It might be a little confusing on page numbers, but I'll try to make sure there's a distinction between the 8th edition and the 9th edition. I am using either edition because I know the 9th edition might be more expensive and you might be able to get the 8th edition, which now they say is out of print. Secondhand, you can find it along the way. You might be able to rent it online, but either way, you can use either 8th or 9th. It's a little bit different, the book is, but we'll be able to figure that out along the way. Don't panic if you get confused. Just talk to me about that. But you're going to create a timeline of the history of children's literature, and you will find that in this chapter 1 here. You can use websites such as timetoast.com or create your own timeline. Please make sure it looks professional. Post your timeline in this Dropbox. This is not meaning that you're going to take a picture of a hand-drawn timeline. That's not what I'm asking you here. I'm actually used to use technology to create your timeline. Then again, using the information from the textbook, you're going to list the 8 genres of children's literature. You're going to describe each in your own words, and you're going to add an image of a book that would be an example of that genre, and you're going to post your work in this Dropbox. Now, in your literacy circles, and I'm hoping you had listened to the first video because I did introduce literacy circles to you, but you're going to select a touchstone book. Sometimes they're called milestone books from within the covers of the textbook. I have the 8th edition textbook here, and you can click on that to take a look at the books. You're going to pick either 1 or 3 books depending on what kind of book you're going to use. And I did also comment, if you have the 9th edition, you can look at figure 1.1 that also has touchstone or milestone books in them. Those are important books in our history of children's literature. So if your group decides to select a picture book, then your group should select 3 picture books. If your literacy circle selects a chapter book, then only 1 novel needs to be read or discussed by your literacy circle in week 2. So in the past, some of my students have picked 3 books, some have picture books, and some have just picked a novel. Now, the only concern that I might have, which really isn't a concern, but is that you do not pick from your the other 7 books that you are to read that are required in your literacy circle book list. So if you go back to the home page in Blackboard and look under literacy circles and book lists, you will see which literacy circle you're in, A, B, C, or D, and you will also see what book list you're going to be reading. You'll have book lists for A, book lists for B, book lists for C, book lists for D. So depending on that, I would look through that so you don't pick the same book. You won't get credit then, and it will be a problem. If you need me to okay your book, just send me an email. 1 person in your group send me an email saying it's okay. Now, 1 person in the literacy circle should start this off. You can use messages in Ultra Blackboard to send messages to your whole group, you can just click on the names, and that's how you can do it. If you have email addresses, you can certainly send them by email. I would start by sending messages because that will go, and it says there's a spot on messages that says you can click on the email, and it will actually also go to the email. And I would highly suggest you do that to get your group started, one person, and then you should get people to comment back. And what you're going to be discussing in your literacy circle this week is, you don't have to meet. You can do this through emails or through messages. Your group does not have to meet this week, but you're going to find a time that's convenient for all of the group members to meet almost on a weekly basis. It can be the same time every week. And then you'll need to also discuss some ideas or possibilities for books. If you want to do it as a group, if you'd like me to join you as a group through Zoom or WebEx, please invite me. I will jump on and do that with you as well. If you have other questions, I can meet with your group to talk about that. But you'll be meeting by group. We will not be meeting as a whole class. This is really an asynchronous class, but I do want you to meet with literacy circles to discuss books. You can also discuss others. You don't need to a lot of time. 15, 20 minutes is plenty of time to discuss. I know sometimes my groups have gone longer because they've talked about other things. You are going to record your discussion. It does not start this week, but you do have to communicate with your literacy circle this week. Now, I love giving extra credit. You'll see I give extra credit throughout the whole semester. If you go above my expectations in completing activities and completing your major assignments, you will get extra credit. And I probably ask you if I can use your work as an exemplar, because I'm collecting work for exemplar purposes for future students. But this is the first extra credit. It's getting to know you as a classroom teacher. You want to get to know your students. You want to develop relationships. That's what I'm going to try to do with you. I know we're online. It's not as easy. If we were meeting weekly, and you probably will get to know me because we are meeting weekly in a small group, but won't be in the large class group. There is an interest inventory that you can fill out. And this is an example of what you might give your students so that you get to know them a little bit about them as well. Here is mine. I have a copy, an exemplar that you can take a look at of mine. And you can model yours after mine if you'd like. You do not have to complete any information that you're uncomfortable completing. So if it does have something about contact information and you don't want to give that to me, don't. I do want to tell you though, if you're not getting work done in a timely manner, or if I'm concerned about your progress in the course, I will email you first, and then if I don't hear back from you, I will call you. All right. So I hope you won't feel like I'm invading your privacy. It's just my concern. I want every single student in this class to be successful. I know things happen during the term that sometimes sends you in turmoil and ends up not being able to complete work in a timely fashion. And I completely understand and will work with you, but please be communicative about that and communicate with me in regards to that you just need more time. I don't need to know your personal business if you don't want to share that with me. I completely understand that. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just here that you receive the grade you want for this course and that you've worked for, and that you are successful. So if you have questions, I always say this, don't hesitate to ask me. Email me if you need to Zoom with me. My office hours are on Tuesday mornings at 11 o'clock. If that is not convenient because you either work or you have a conflict at that time, I will meet with you at another time. I am very happy to do that. My schedule is flexible. I do have meetings. I don't do a lot of social events because of the pandemic, so I'm pretty much around, although I know my January is going to be a little bit busier than normal, but I will make time for you. You can feel secure about that. That is what you will be working on this week for week 1. I will see you online.